have been going over the mindset and prepping the mind and getting us ready for what is to come. This is one of 4 interviews that we're going to be doing with entrepreneurs, with business owners, and they are going to get us in the right mindset of what it takes to be a business owner, and really how to take what we've learned over the last month and compile it into usable information to where you guys and me and everybody who watches this can understand what it takes really to be an entrepreneur. So don't adjust your screens. It's not, this is not a stunt double. The gentleman you're looking at is my younger brother, Alek Gilmore. He is a entrepreneur. He's a business owner. I'm excited to bring him on as my first interview, which is going to be great in this series. Grateful for him to be part of this project, this book, and he's going to be bringing it. So before we get into all the questions and everything, Al, go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, where you live, and then obviously kind of what your why is. You take like 5 minutes, you can take a little more, a little less, it's up to you, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
No, for sure. No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a real honor. And obviously, if y'all can tell, I'm a better looking one, so that should come across as being a no-brainer. But no, man, love my brother Cam. Thanks for having me on again, brother. And this is really cool. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I have 4 kids, ages 12, 10, 7, and 5. Been married to my lovely wife for going on 16 years now. So it's been an absolute blast. And currently we live in Wyoming. And so making that transition from Arizona to Wyoming has been a big transition, but we've really enjoyed it. You know, it's been really cool for Kiana to get back in touch with her Wyoming roots. And, you know, we have open skies and fresh air, and our kids they love it, man. They love being outside, enjoying weather and nature and all that cool stuff. And so that's currently where I live right now. And, you know, a little bit about me, my background. I've been in business in one aspect or another for about 16 years now. And so there's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows. There's been a lot of oh crap moments and, you know,
Yep.
Eureka, yeah, moments as well, right? And so I've basically, I think I've been to every single state in America except for maybe 5 or 6. So I've spoken with about every kind of entrepreneur, business owner, high level executive you can possibly imagine, and been able to connect with them, relate with them, and really communicate with them on a very, very high level. And so, yeah, I traveled for, man, I'd say about 6, 8 years on and off. So learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about how to connect with people and really to understand what makes people tick. And that was the biggest thing for me, especially
Right.
at a young age, is learning how to position yourself in a way that you're being respectful, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are coming across as someone who has a solution for their biggest pains and biggest problems. And so, yeah, so that's kind of, you know, me in a very, very small nutshell.
Nice, nice, nice. So, and guys, as we go through, you'll notice that I'm looking down. I've got questions, and I want to make sure that the content we're bringing is substance, but more importantly, it's usable. So, don't. I'm not. When I look down, don't get like, oh, he's getting bored or whatnot. No, it's because I'm trying to understand this. So, let me let me ask this question real quick. Why coaching? Right? You go into this space where, man, it's a big space. It's a huge space, especially in United States. It's a very big space. People go into coaching, whether it's a business coach, a personal development coach, mentor, the list goes on and on. But could you
Yeah.
hit on a few points that why you got into coaching first off, and then second off, like what kind of started you that point of you realize that, man, I could really, really do this?
Yeah. Fantastic question. So I think one of the biggest contributing factors to my success is I've had some amazing coaches, some amazing mentors my whole career. Some I've paid for, and some they didn't know they're my coach, but I learned from them. You know, the first thing comes to mind is my brothers. You know, there's 5 boys and a girl, and I'm right there in the middle spot. So I had, you know, you and Justice and JD to look up to, and also Lane and Darcy, right? So I think growing up, little did I know that you guys were kind of like my first quote unquote mentors, you know, mom and dad. But as I got more like in the business world, I knew that success was going to be a challenge if I try to do everything on my own. And I remember when I was a mortgage broker back in 2008, and well, actually 2006, but you know, things really hit the fan in 2008. And essentially I
Yep.
lost my job, yeah, because of the market, and it crashed. And I loved what I did, man. You know, that was like my career. That was what I was gonna go to the next level. With that, I was actually being prepped to take over the brokerage firm that I was associated with. And I really loved it, man. But when the market crashed, I knew that I needed some guidance and assistance on where my next move was going to be.
Mhm.
And just by accident, one of my really good friends, he got me into, or he actually taught me about coaching. And when I first heard of coaching, I thought like sports. I'm like, I don't know, you were like a football coach. We're like, no. He's like, I'm talking about business coaching. I'm like, business coaching? I I've never even like that didn't even dawn on me. And so he opened up this whole world of business coaching. I was like, wow, this is pretty incredible. And so with that, I got hooked, man. I really did. I learned from some real just amazing, influential people. And
Mhm.
I really gained a love for it, because here it was, you know, in my mid 20s, and I was, you know, being taught how to communicate on a very high level, with individuals who had real deep pain. And they didn't, and you know, back in 2008 to about 2010, 11, you know, people's 401ks were 201ks, and people had real heartaches back then, man, and they needed a
Yep.
way out. And they're like, how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to bring additional income in, because I lost my job, or you know, they're downsizing. And so that was like my big aha moment. And I really learned how to provide value when there were big problems. And so kind of fast forward, you know, the the lessons and the teachings that I was taught for all those years, I was able to transition that into my business, you know, talking to business owners right now. And so you asked the question, like why coaching when it's a vast ocean of coaches out there, right?
Yep.
and
Yep.
the best way I can explain, you know, why, is because I think it depends on the mouthpiece of the person who's giving the information. So
Mhm.
so you and I can say the exact same thing, but people might align with you more than me, because there's something about you and your character and how you present, and maybe like your background and your story, that more aligns with them. But the message is the same way. It's the same message essentially, right?
Yep.
And so I just think that sometimes those messages just need a different mouthpiece. So I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anyone else. I just think that, you know, um, I have skills and have experiences of, you know, spending over 16 years. I could really present to someone else who may be in my position, or who's trying to level up as well. And because of the way that I present something, or because of the way that I might, you know, think differently, or whatever aligns with them, it's like, oh wow, like this dude like really knows what he's talking about. Like, let me learn more. And how can that benefit me in my life and in my business going forward? And so I'm really passionate about serving people, man, serving people at a high level. And because I know that when, you know, one of my really good friends, his name's Larry, he lives by a very simple but powerful statement. He says, I give to get to give. And that's kind of the premise of how I try to conduct my business. You know, the more that I give, I know as a
Mhm.
byproduct I'm going to get. So the more that I get, I can give more. And that's essentially the message, boiled down to a nutshell.
Man, I don't think people at this point, we need to kind of stop and revisit what you just said. Is you give to get to give. And I think oftentimes when we get started in this journey, right, in this for high level salespeople, right, that have hit really pick, the top 1% or 5% in any company, right? These high levels that of salespeople or people that are trying to, as they say, max out to that next level. It's really trying to find those little tools and nuggets, right, to be able to take it to the next level or stay in that grind or stay longer. And I think that it was really cool. That's a fantastic quote and a fantastic. I'm going to probably steal that here, just so you know. But let me go back to something that you said, which was you sought out mentors, right? Whether you paid for them. The internet is full of mentors that that you can get, quote unquote, for free. I mean, they're all over. But what was it that drove you to seek for mentorship and then pay for mentorship?
Awesome questions, man. So again, I'll kind of go back to my childhood. So I watched countless film of you running the football, of JJ running the football, Justice, the way that like the way you guys approached athletics. I really internalized that a lot. And I believe a big part of my success athletically came because I had you guys as my mentors, because you guys were very, very good within your own right. And you guys had tremendous success. And so I knew if I could emulate the best parts of your game and bring that to my skill set, then I knew that I had the advantage of taking the best pieces of all three of you and kind of like melting it together to form what eventually became my skill set, right? So I took that same aspect, when I lost my position as a mortgage broker, saying, okay, I don't know the world of coaching business. I really don't. So how can I put myself in a position where I'm indispensable? Like, how can I put myself in a position where I can learn and create value eventually?
Sure.
So the very first thing that I did is I found the best sales guys and the best leaders on that floor. And I was a sponge, man. I listened to them intently. I was, one thing about me, I've always been very, very coachable. I'm super hard-headed. I'm big time, but I can definitely be coached as well. If I respect you and I know, like, hey, this gal or girl is the top of what they do, I'm going to shut my mouth and open my ears and be coached. And so that's really where it all came from, is my younger days of you guys. And then that just transitioned into business. And so I knew that when I needed to make that level up or go above and beyond my limits, putting something down of monetary value to gain something that like 5x or 10x, my investment was one of the biggest successes of my life. And I started to pay for further coaching because it really helped me, because it put my feet in the fire. Like, I had skin in the game. I had something that I could, that I was like, man, I'm either going to, piss this money away, or I'm going to use it and leverage it and learn from it and then grow from it as well. Right. And so that's kind of been my MO, like, even till today. Like, I'll find, if I'm ever breaking into like a new industry of some sort, if I'm the best person who knows what they're talking about, I'll gladly invest into them, because I'm investing into their knowledge. I'm investing into their mindset, their network, so I can fast track my success and learn from the best parts of them, and then internalize it into me. It just makes me a better person as a result.
So you said something, two things that I want to touch on. First on, you got to get skin in the game, And I
Yeah.
think that is crucial for so many of these high performers, right? That once you put skin into the game, you're like you said, I'm either going to piss this away or I'm going to take this to that next level. That's the point number one. Skin in the game is essential, right? The second thing is there's always somebody better. There's always somebody producing at a higher level, right? Like you said, you sought after the top people, whether they're in sales or business or development, right? Operations, right? It's seeking out these people that are top in their top of the class, shutting up and saying, look, I'm gonna learn. I'm going to
Yeah.
learn. And I think as we take ourselves to this new level, right? This new level of in sales or management or personal development, right? It is finding those that are better than us, eating a big, huge chunk of humble pie, and just be quiet. Just be
Yeah.
quiet and take notes and be a sponge.
For sure. And it reminds me of, you bring up a great point. In fact, one of my first mentors, he taught me something that I've never forgotten. It's actually made me a ton of money in business. He said, Alek, if you ever find yourself as being the smartest person in the room, you need to leave that room immediately because you cannot grow in that environment. Always surround yourself around people who are smarter than you, have more experience than you, because by default, you're going to rise to that level. And I've always taken that with me, like everywhere I've gone. If I'm ever the smartest dude in the room, like we're in trouble, man. We're in serious trouble for
Yep.
sure, for sure. So I just, one thing that I'm really really good at is positioning myself in a way that I'm never the smartest person in the room ever. I'm never the person who has the most experience in the room ever, because I know that I can't level up under those conditions.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's kind of springboard forward here a little bit.
Hmm.
Let's talk about Transend Alpha. Uh,
Hmm.
bring us into the space where you made the decision to go all in, right? You have been through a couple of businesses, you've worked with some people, you're getting ready to take over, but trends to go all in on a business that the proven model wasn't really, the model was there because there was many people that were doing it, but for you in this space, it was
Hmm.
unproven, right? It was
Hmm.
completely unproven because you were the unproven commodity, right? Everybody else, I mean, people that can look at it now that they have a proven track record, but you don't have that proven track record. So tell us about the decision to go all in and take us through that process of deciding I'm all in. I'm all
Yeah.
in.
I think there was a really big aha moment for me when I was traveling a lot and speaking to so many different entrepreneurs, and really what I was doing. Like, so we were selling different coaching packages on like real estate investment opportunities, right? So with real estate, it's very much like numbers driven, facts and figures, like be non-emotional. But I realized in my conversations, um, people didn't really want to learn necessarily about the blueprint of how to invest in real estate. They wanted to just talk. They
Yeah.
just wanted to lay out all of their fears, their insecurities, all of the things on the table, and like this is where I'm at right now. This is my life as it looks right now. I'm a mess,
Mhm.
and what I realized was there was so much emphasis on the quote unquote blueprint, the actual facts and figures and numbers, and not enough on the mind,
Yeah.
and not enough on the personal development side of things. And I gotta tell you, man, like 80 to 90% of success in business or life in general is what's in between your ears. And so I kind of made it my passion, my mission to really understand, like, the human psyche and what makes people tick and what makes people not move forward because of fear, and what makes people move forward when they have fear, right? Because
Mhm.
you have two different beasts. You can have, you have one that you can feed the fear, or you can feed the growth, or you can feed the solution.
Mhm.
But the common denominator between the two is that they both experience fear, right?
Right.
And so that was like the point where I was like, man, um, the mental aspect of this business needs to be more at the forefront, and less about the numbers. Now, those who are very much data driven, like it's like nails on the chalkboard to them, what I just said right there, right? Because they're very much
Right.
like,
Yep.
give me the numbers, give me the spreadsheets. But even those who are very numbers driven, like if I don't know what's driving them to move forward, I
Mhm.
there's no way to go above and beyond their limits, right? Because there's something inside of all of us that is just there's something special inside of us that needs to grow and to mature and to really come out. And that's really what Transcend Alpha is really all about. Like Transcend is, just the definition is going above and beyond. It's transcending to those higher levels, untapped territories, right? And
Mhm.
that's really what I try to get people to come to on their own through different various things that I present to them. But really, it's them that travels that journey. I'm just kind of like the lead guide. And then Alpha is, it's a dual meaning. Um, Alpha meaning just having complete control of your life, holding yourself accountable, being completely responsible for everything that you have or don't have in your life. But alpha from a neurological or mental aspect, I'm talking about the alpha brain waves. And so there's things that I do with my training that it's definitely visualization, but it goes
Mhm.
above and beyond that, because it's visualization attached with a certain a certain mindset that you have while you're building your vision out. And then
Right.
I teach you how to go tap into your alpha brain waves, and it's a really cool thing that comes together. It's pretty unique in the business world. And so but that was like my aha moment of, man, like the most important part is the mental aspect. Like the numbers are easy, that's the easy part. It's just
Yep.
how do I tap into the mind of it.
So I could go on, we could go on this whole space and journey of, the mind and the getting in and tapping into the mind. But when you when you deal with these high performers, right? Because you go into this and you get into them and you're trying to break down, high performers are there because they're driven by two things. Rare, they're driven by fear, or they're driven by fight, right? It's the one. And then there's three senses, right? Fear, flight, or fight, right? Um, and you just kind of like these top performers, they're driven by the fear of not being a top producer, the fear of people saying, oh, you were the best but now you're not the best anymore, or the fear of, man, if I don't perform and shine, the people by around me, where I come from, that's going to come back on me. Or it's this fight mentality. I'm going to fight and prove you wrong. I'm going to fight
Mhm.
because you don't know where I came from, or I'm going to
Sure.
fight because I have a bigger, there's a bigger purpose. So help
Mhm.
us in this, when you're dealing with them, right? You're dealing with these high performer business owners, or individual reps. How do we give us one or two examples of how we peel back and peel down to have them get into a state of calmness, so they can say, I need to go to this level, but my own limiting beliefs are keeping me at this level.
So you touched on really the essence of what it's all about, man. I go back again, to an experience that I had when I was in my mid 20s, and my is one of my very first like coaches who I actually like invested tons of money into. And he taught me so many amazing things. So very long story short, I was in my mid 20s, about 25 or 26. And, newlywed, I think, Kiana and I, we had Peyton, and I don't think our second was born at that time. So young family, hardly any, like, nothing to our name. But my role was to call these high performing principal brokers at these commercial real estate firms. So like Marcus and Millichap, Cushman and Wakefield, CBRE, like, and talk to these principal brokers. And I remember, so my job within the confines of our agreement was I had to cold call them, bring them to the table to invest in some of our deals. And I was petrified, man. Like why would these high performers talk to, so this is my limiting beliefs, a nobody, like someone who has hardly any money. I'm just making, like, I'm just newly, just had all the excuses in the world. And so, but you know what? Again, skin in the game. I was in it. Like I'm all in, baby.
Yep.
And so I got my list down, and I remember, like, pacing back and forth, just freaking out. Like, you know what? I'm pick up my phone, make some calls, because obviously, like, there's no way these guys are going to pick up an unknown number. There's no way. So I'm trying to get the cadence down and kind of just build that, build that muscle memory. So my very first phone call I make, I called the principal broker at Marcus and Millichap. Dude's worth millions and millions of dollars. On the third ring, he answers the phone. He says, "Hello." I got so scared I hung up on him. I was like, screw this, dude. I'm not doing this, man. There's no way. So I called my coach up. His name is Trent. I said, "Hey, Trent, so I got some good news. I got some bad news." He goes, "Awesome, man. Like, give me the good news first." I said, "Well, the good news is I got a hold of the principal broker at Marcus and Millichap." It's like, "Dude, that's amazing. Like, congrats. So, like, what's the bad news?" I said, "Well, the bad news is I hung up on him." He goes, "You said what?" He freaking, and they, like, but then, like, he calmed down, lowered. He said, "Hey, dude." So he goes, "Let me ask you a question." He goes, are you wearing pants right now?" I said, "Yeah, I'm wearing pants." He goes, and a shirt. Like, are you wearing a shirt? I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "So, like, when you put your pants on, like, how did you do it?" I was like, "One leg at a time." He goes, and your shirt, like, how did you put your shirt on? Was it some weird fancy way? It's like one arm at a time. But for whatever reason, like, in that moment, I was like, yeah, these guys they're just people. Like, they're just human beings. Like, they put their pants on one leg at a time, their shirts one arm at a time. They might have a bigger bank account than me, at that time, but they're people. Like, when we're all stripped down to our bare necessities, our bare essentials, we're just people. We have feelings, we have passions, we have faults, we have all these things, right? So it was that little, like, aha moment that I really needed. So anyway, I ended up having tremendous success with him, closed a ton of deals, talked to just lots of great people. But that right there was, like, I think, like, the genesis of this lifelong passion that I have. Because if I can tap into someone's passions, that emotion is far greater than tapping into someone's fear, right? Because when your purpose is huge, it's massive, like, any challenge that comes your way, I know they're going to overcome those challenges, because your purpose is bigger than any one challenge that comes your way. And the way that I do that is I listen. I ask questions that pertain to them, and I shut up and I listen. And then I validate their concerns. I empathize with them, like that. Like, that's a powerful tool to have. When someone shows empathy towards you, like man, like, Cameron really understands where I'm coming from. Like, this dude gets me. And I can't even tell you how many people who I've sat down with and they've told me, Alek, this is the first time really in my career that I've sat down with pretty much a stranger and I feel like I'm being heard. Like I feel like someone actually gets me and understands where I'm coming from. Because when you're a high performer, like you're expected to be at this level all the time. And it's like if you're driving a car and the RPMs is here at all times, eventually it's going to burn out and the engine's going to just explode, right? So a lot of people are operating here at all times, and that they show in front of their family, in front of their kids, in front of their coworkers. And so it's exhausting. And so people just need a space where they can like lower the walls down a little bit, be real, be frank, have a cry, have a laugh, like all these things. Like this stuff that sounds like fluffy and poof and all that stuff, like it is so powerful and it's so transformative that people are like, dude, I don't care what it is that you have, I'm in. Whatever you have, I'm in. Just because I treat them like they're my brother, like they're my sister, because essentially that's who they are. And that's the foundation. If I can tap into that purpose by asking meaningful questions and shutting up and listening to them, that's really what it's all about.
Ooh, man, I just want to run with this point that you just made, which was when you ask a meaningful question and then you shut up, right? The 70-30 rule, right? 70% of the time we're listening, 30% of the time we're asking a question, but it has to be the right type of question. And the only way you get that type of question is when you study, study people, study body language, or study who you're getting into or why you were calling. Like you made those phone calls. There's probably prep work that you put into it. And so that's the key is the study has to come from the passion. The passion comes from the believability. The believability becomes in you're tapping into the brain, the specific part of the brain that says, yeah, I deserve to be at this level, and I deserve to be here because I know this is what I'm worth. And I think we forget that. And the first chapter in the book, it was really about getting us ready to receive this type of information. It's not that we probably have never heard of this information before, or it wasn't that we didn't understand it. It's just we just weren't ready to be in a space mentally, emotionally, and say, I'm in. Let's share with me, and I will follow. And I think that's so key that you hit on it, was just to listening to so many things.
Right. And there's a couple of things I've really uncovered through this whole process. Number one is people are so afraid of going after their future because they're too busy living in their fears, for one. And number two is you cannot move forward powerfully with one foot still in the past. You can't do it. So if someone's like, oh, I should have done this, or I lost this deal and it destroyed me and I'm rebuilding, people focus on that. They focus on the negative side, and then because of it, they're living in a fear. And so they're afraid to now dream in the future, because like I don't want to go through this hell again. Like this sucks, right? But that's the hero's journey.
Yep.
Like we all experience that in one way or another. Like how boring would it be to watch a movie where the main character of the story had zero opposition or zero trials? Like the reason why we love Rocky, the movie's Rocky, so much, because he was this nobody from Pennsylvania, and he would not quit. Like he got his trash kicked all the time. Yep. But he was victorious because of all the stuff he had to go through to become victorious, right? And so like that's the thing, man. Like, yeah, we'll get knocked up. No, we'll get knocked down. We'll get bloody. Like our nose will get busted up. Our eyes will swell up. You know what I mean? Like we're going to experience some pain. Like if you want to transcend to another level, you cannot eliminate pain. It's impossible. You cannot do it. All you can do is embrace it for what it is, and know that's part of the entire process of leveling up. It's what it's all about, right? So don't live in your fears, man. Like, go after your dreams. Like, stop living in your fears.
Man, we could, it's another, I mean, that's a whole nother, hour, 2 hour long session that we could get into and dive into, because it's so powerful and so unique. But man, I just have to say that when the fear cripples us to chase our dreams, then then we become subjected to the whisperings and what the thoughts are of other people about us. And what you just said is so powerful, that to be and go through, to be the hero, you are going to experience pain. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. So we're running out of time. We're getting close to the end here, but let me ask you this question. How powerful are processes, right? How powerful are systems that you don't deviate from? For example, right? Some people will say, I go to bed at this time, I get up at this time, this is what I do at this time, this is what I do at this time. And that's the Ed Milet talks about it, right? He starts his day before he starts his day. So how important is that, right? The system that you build, or the pattern in saying, this is what I do, I don't deviate, I can't deviate, this is doctrine, I will not let anybody mess this flow up. So talk about that for just the last little bit here. How important are those systems that people need and should create?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I've kind of uncovered a little bit, the reason why people are where they are right now is a sum total of their daily habits. And it's those daily habits that you do which dictates what your future is going to be eventually. So if someone wants to lose weight, or someone wants to do anything in life, and you wake up at 10 o'clock every day, you roll out, first thing you do is, eat high sugar cereal, and you just, you start the day off on the wrong foot. But you want to lose weight, or you want to have a certain type of physique. Well, you're not going to get there because you've already started off the day on the wrong foot, right? So systems and processes are essential to the whole thing, man. And I like to think of the end result in mind, and then kind of work backwards. Like, if I want to make 6 figures this year, for example, so your sales reps, I need to know, okay, 6 figures in 12 months, that's my goal. So what are some of the things that I need to do on a daily basis that's going to accumulate over time to reach 6 figures? And there's so many different ways you can break that down. It's part of, my training is, part of the feel good, the mindset. I mean, I do a deep dive on KPIs as well, and how to dissect where you are and all that stuff. But yeah, it's what you want to accomplish, what's your purpose, what's your passion, and then making sure that you are committed to those small and simple steps every single day. Because when you add them up, it's the compound effect. When you compound those over time, majority of the time you're going to exceed the number that you had in mind already. And so if you can be disciplined, Jocko Willink talks about it all the time. Discipline equals freedom. If you can discipline yourself to do these daily habits, and these habits become rituals, like they're non-negotiables, right? Every single day you're going to do this, come hell or high water, and holding yourself to that standard. I mean, that's another reason why mentors are so essential, is because a lot of times people have really bad habits and they're not self-disciplined. So they need someone else to hold them accountable, right? Because I know, like, if I say I'm going to do something, and I put it out there to the world, or I tell, my brothers or whoever, like, they're going to hold me accountable to that. So I'm going to make sure, like, if I'm tired, man, Cameron's going to kill me if I don't accomplish this thing I said I'm gonna do today. So I'm gonna push through that tiredness. I'm gonna push through whatever it is to tell you, hey, I accomplished this, right? Because you're holding me accountable. And gets to the point where it becomes a ritual. And then it's just there's small steps, man, that you have. I mean, I know we're running out of time, but I mean, we could take a whole day on just that principle alone. And that's why what I've created is so powerful, because it's setting up daily rituals that eventually lead you to your desired results.
Ooh, man, I tell you what, at this point, everybody should just be 3-4 pages deep in notes and inspiration and what they want to accomplish and really go after, because what is just been said is is the absolute, crutch or crucible of getting to that level and getting through and breaking through, man. That's the way you want to end up on this. So, man, before I let you go, though, here's
one thing. Let me just say
Yeah.
real quickly. One thing, and if you do break a habit or break something, give yourself grace. Give yourself like it's all good. Like, hit the reset button and do it over. Like don't dwell on that fear. Don't dwell on, oh, I knew I was going to do this. No, like, that's not you. That's not who you're going to be. Just reset the next day and get after it. I want to point that out, because I think sometimes people are too hard on themselves when they don't accomplish a daily task. Forget about it. Go to the next day and do it all over again.
That's, yesterday was yesterday, right? Tomorrow's the future. That's why today is called the present. You can't change yesterday because it's already gone. You can build towards the tomorrow, which is the future, but in the present moment, you can always reset. And I think that is a great point. Great point.
Let your future 10-year self thank your present self for taking these daily actions.
Right? Done. All right. So here's the scenario for you real quick. So here's the scenario. Young professional, young man or young woman, they meet you and they're just starting to explore who they are, what they want to be in business, in the business space, whatever business space. They see you sitting at a local restaurant, and they come up to you and say, yo, I follow you and your work. So could you please give me a few pointers on how or what I should do to get started on the path to being an alpha performer?
So the very first thing I'm going to ask them is, what are their daily habits? Like, what are you doing on a consistent daily basis? And depending on what they tell me, I'll know what direction to put them in. If they're trying to make 6 figures in business, okay, show me your numbers, in the sense that how many dials do you need to make a phone call, or to make a connection? What's your conversion ratio, like, from the time you connect with someone to actually go to and progress to sell over? Like, what does that look like? And then when you're actually closing someone, like, what's your close ratio, right? Is it 1 in 5? Is it 1 in 6? Like, and how can we shorten that to 1 in 3 or 1 in 2, right? So those are the 2 major things that I'm always going to look at, is what are your daily habits, and what are your key performing indicators to get you to where you want to be. And if I have enough information on that, then I can kind of work in any direction. But also the most important thing that I need to know is, and it's such a fundamental thing, like, what's your purpose? Like, what's your why? And it sounds really cliche and corny, but I tell you what, man, if you don't know what you're doing, but most importantly, why you're doing it, it is so easy to hit that first obstacle and go back the other direction, because there's nothing moving you forward. There's nothing progressing you above and beyond that current situation, or that current trial that you're currently in, right? And so I need to know what's motivating you, man. What's your purpose? What's your passion? What's your why? And then if I have these little bits of information, we can create an amazing program, an amazing process for anyone to move forward, whether you are a higher ranking top executive or a newbie that's just graduating high school and experiencing life for the first time, man. It's universal. It's such it covers all spectrums. You just have to adjust it to the person that you're currently dealing with.
And that is, That is just on point and on point. And we are going to hear more and more about this from not only you, but from all the other speakers. It's purpose and why, purpose and why, purpose and why. And it is, I mean, I could not have think of a better way to start this interview process off with you. With your experience, your knowledge, man, I appreciate it. Top five books people should either listen to or read. What are the top five?
Man. Top five.
And they can be any, like
Sheesh.
business, personal, relationship, anything.
Yeah. So one book that just actually cracked my top five is called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. That book is so on point. It's so like it's just amazing. So that's definitely a must read. There is a book I just finished called How to Rule Like a Roman Emperor, the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. And so that's a really good book. A book I'm reading right now, it's called Never Split the Difference. So it's really for sales reps and entrepreneurs. You know, it's like a negotiation setting, but it can be translated over into sales. So that's really, really good. You can't go wrong with 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's always going to be a true and tried book. And, you know, I'm going to say Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I'm a humongous Jocko Willink fan. I resonate so much with what he talks about. I love his discipline. I love what he does. And you know what? I'm actually going to throw in a sixth one. I believe it's called You Can't Hurt Me. Let me just make sure that's the name of it. Yep, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yep. All right, there you go. Yep. Well, I'll make sure we put all the books, the authors. We'll put that down below in the link. Alek, tell everybody where they want to reach out or follow your work and follow you and talk to you. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and get in contact with you.
Yeah, I think a really easy way to get a hold of me is through my email. It's just alek@transendalpha.com. I have a website. It's nothing special. It's transendalpha.com as well. But the best way to contact me is definitely through email, and then my website, transendalpha.com.
Excellent. And the guy's reference that you heard him on this, and he'll definitely open up, man. Alek, thank you so much. My brother, I love you. I love you so much, man. I appreciate you kicking this off.
Love you too, bro.
Huge one. Everybody, thanks for hopping on, and we'll talk to y'all later.